Good evening, Commissioners. As the Budget Officer, and in accordance with North Carolina General Statute 159 and the Local Government Budget and Fiscal Control Act, I am honored to submit for your consideration the balanced fiscal year 25 recommended budget for Franklin County, North Carolina. The recommendations contained in this document take into account the growth pressures in Franklin County and the available resources needed to meet the needs of our residents. I appreciate the board's commitment to our county's mission, vision, values, and goals, and I look forward to working with the board to ensure continued progress here in Franklin County. And of course, each one of you have a copy of my budget message there in front of you, and I'm going to be talking through this, and there's a slideshow to accompany it. Next point is Franklin County's mission, vision, values, and goals. And of course, the Franklin County Board of Commissioners met on January 25th of this year for a budget forum and adopted an updated mission, vision, values, and goals document for Franklin County. The mission for Franklin County continues to be to provide and support exemplary public service and expand economic opportunities. And so there were items updated as a result of the progress that's been made in a number of areas here in Franklin County. I want to talk for a minute about the economic environment. Franklin County's economy overall is stable. Rising cost for goods and services, decreased labor pool availability, and increased costs for labor have created challenges for county operations as well as challenges for a number of businesses, particularly small businesses in our county. Per national reports, credit card debt continues to rise. The U.S. average inflation rate for 2023 was 4.1%. The current 12-month average U.S. inflation rate as of April 2024 is 3.4%. In Franklin County, increased business and industrial interest and development remains strong and is diversifying our county tax base. In March 2024, the county's unemployment rate was 3.7%, unchanged from the March 2023 unemployment rate. Our population has continued to grow, and the latest census update distributed in March 2024 estimates our population at 77,001. In the county population tables published by the North Carolina Office of State Budget and Management, Franklin County's projected population for 2045 is 125,131. Lots of people are headed this way. Franklin County remains the fastest growing county statistically in the Triangle area with an annual growth rate by the North Carolina OSBM statistics at 4.1%. Franklin County, by that same data, ranks third in growth percentage compared to other counties across North Carolina. Residential building growth in Franklin County has remained strong. 2023 calendar year-end housing permits totaled 843 versus 2022 year-end of 945. That's a 12% decrease, but yet well above the 10-year historical permitting trends. Non-residential permits for new construction and additions indicate more non-residential development in our county. In 2023, 37 permits added approximately 571,000 square feet of space, compared to 2022 when 38 permits added 183,000 square feet of space. But year to date in 2024, 9 permits have added over 839,000 square feet of space for non-residential development. The fiscal year 25 recommended budget focuses on maintaining essential and statutorily defined county services, including adding positions that were specifically identified as providing direct services, funding technology solutions, providing vehicles to accomplish service delivery, maintaining competitive employee compensation and benefits, and providing resources and funds to complete the infrastructure and economic expansion projects necessary for successful growth preparation. There's a number of capital projects underway, and our attention will be focused on completing those projects in a fiscally responsible manner. Any new capital projects will be reviewed carefully. Appropriate timelines will be adjusted based on grant funding and available funds, and ultimately affected by economic conditions, labor availability, and the materials pricing and delivery that have been a challenge over the last few years. Franklin County government has a strong financial position through good stewardship and diligence. And as the budget officer for Franklin County, I am committed to maintaining our government's financial strength through the recommendation of appropriate spending to support county operations. I'm going to go through a few highlights for fiscal year 24, some things that were accomplished. The projects that are listed here are projects that were completed at the end of calendar year 23. Of course, a new PSAP building, Emergency Communications PSAP building, was completed in September of 2023. There's a ribbon cutting held. That's a hardened facility set up to, as I have said before, 2x4 will bounce off the side of it because we want emergency communications to keep going when we are in a state of emergency. A wastewater treatment plant renovation happened, completed that in 2023, an $11.5 million renovation of that plant. And then Triangle North Executive Airport had an airfield pavement rehabilitation project that completed in November of 2023. Significant projects that affect the economy in Franklin County. On the next page are next slide are some projects that are ongoing. Some are nearing completion. Automated water meter reading. That's a project that affects, of course, all of our public utilities customers who are water customers, and we are nearing the completion of that project. August of 2024 is when that project will complete. Youngsville Solid Waste Convenience Site, very much needed. The anticipated completion date of that is December of 2024. That is the currently smallest footprint, largest amount of tonnage, so very much needed upgrade in the Youngsville area. US 1 North Commerce Center. Just want to comment that this is a private industrial development over on Long Mill Road, but again, 5 buildings will are being, well, 2 of them have been constructed, 3 are being spec'd out now, total of 5 buildings that will provide 1.3 million square feet of industrial development space for Franklin County. Jobs coming to Franklin County. Triangle North Franklin Business Park, again, a business park that is county owned out on US 401. Right now, we are in the process of a road, water, and sewer infrastructure project in Section B. A $2.8 million largely grant-funded project that will construct a half-mile, essentially a half-mile asphalt road through the center section of the park so that those lots will be available for development. Next highlights Franklinton to Novo Nessus, and I don't know if I'm saying that right. I'm getting used to that new name for Novozymes, but a Rails to Trails project that goes from inside the Franklinton town limits out to Novo. It's a $3.7 million grant-funded project. Right now, it's at the 30% completion stage, and bid documents are going to be distributed in December of 2024. Epson Park, Alfred Benish and Company is working on that project. Bid documents should go out in June of 24. The county was awarded a PARTIF grant for that, and back in November of 2022. It takes a little while to get all of these things designed and ready to move forward, but the park will have a multi-purpose playing field, a walking trail, and a playground to the community, add all those amenities to the community in northern Franklin County. A warehouse at 424 T Kemp Road. I just want to be clear, the county was able, after 2 years of working through a diligent process, able to purchase the warehouse at 424 T Kemp Road. Renovations have slightly started. We have to keep moving along at an appropriate pace for that, but the building itself provides 40,000 square feet of warehouse space, a much-needed amenity. We have assets all over the county sitting in parking lots, stored in places that are not ideal. So having a single central warehouse is really important for our growing county. And the last project highlighted here is Judicial Complex. Again, recently spoke to the Lewisburg Town Council about this. This is a project that the county has been working on feverishly, on and off, I should say, since 2019. Franklin County is statutorily obligated to provide space for judicial facilities in our county. And the county received $15 million from the legislature in the 2023 budget to assist with the construction. That's going to make a big difference in terms of the funding that's needed for that project. And of course, judicial facilities have been in the town of Lewisburg for 238 years. And so we are working with judicial representatives to move this project forward and working with the town of Lewisburg as we take appropriate steps. So projects, lots of projects going on in Franklin County. Next, I want to talk about budget goals. Franklin County's goal to be a fiscally strong and engaged government continues to provide the framework and guidance for this fiscal year 25 recommended budget. Our budget goals support maintaining the county's strong financial position and fiscal management policies and procedures. Of course, the budget reflects, along that same line, progress toward accomplishing the mission, vision, values, and goals, conservative revenue budgeting, and reasonable expenditure projections in view of the stable but sometimes uncertain economic factors in our current economy, adherence to adopted fiscal policies, general statutes, federal laws, guidelines, all the financial processes that have demonstrated success in protecting the county's assets. A review of the current ad valorem tax rate and fees for county services with new or revised fees included as part of this recommended budget tonight. Focusing resources and training on gaining efficiencies through innovation and technology, and long-term planning for the impact of population growth and the resulting increased demand for county services throughout all departments. So county budget impact. Again, the annual budget provides comprehensive and detailed information to guide the activities of county government. Decisions and priorities for the upcoming fiscal year are found through the budget guidance. Areas where energy and expertise will be focused are based on the funding that's made available through the budget. And numerous stakeholders, including employees, consultants, community partners, and support organizations, participate in the development of this budget. The recommended fiscal year 25 general fund budget totals $172,915. And the total budget recommended for all funds needed to manage county government operations totals $180,190,522. Revenues for achieving county government goals are from two major categories: ad valorem property taxes and sales tax. The tax administrator has provided a total taxable county values projection as of May 20th of $12,604,282,999 based on the new valuations. The budgeted fiscal year 25 current property tax revenues are $62,442,248. The proposed budget establishes a collection rate of 98.1% based on economic factors and the actual fiscal year 23 collection rate of 98.69%. The fiscal year 25 current property taxes are budgeted to increase, property tax revenues are budgeted to increase by $4,494,000 over the budgeted fiscal year 24 current property tax revenues of $57,948,101. That's a lot of numbers. Collection of sales tax revenue is projected to be $18,380,483 for fiscal year 24. The fiscal year 25 budgeted sales tax revenue is $17,250,000. Again, you might ask, why is that number less than what's being collected this year, projected to be collected in this year? The conservative estimate allows for the impact of rising interest rates, increasing consumer debt, and the consumer spending patterns in this post-COVID economy. Have to be conservative about the numbers we project in that area. Next, I want to talk about property tax rates. North Carolina General Statute 105-286 requires a tax revaluation for counties at a minimum of every 8 years. The Franklin County Board, by resolution on February 18, 2008, approved a 6-year cycle for Franklin County, and the 2024 tax revaluation has been conducted. Effective January 1, 2024, property values in Franklin County have been updated by the tax administration staff. The revenue-neutral tax rate is calculated using a statutorily directed formula and is the rate at which the county would collect the same amount of revenue with natural growth. The calculated rate, revenue-neutral tax rate is 0.4991 per $100 evaluation. Current property taxes account for approximately 51.1% of the county's total revenues. The fiscal year 25 recommended budget recommends a reduction in the current tax rate. Currently, the tax rate is 0.785 per $100 valuation. The new recommended tax rate is 0.505 per $100 valuation. I must point out this is obviously a significant drop, and for 2 of the last 3 years, the tax rate has been reduced by the Board of Commissioners. So this, again, being a tax reval year, the number has moved down even more. And so for the fiscal year 25 recommended budget, a penny on the tax rate contributes $1,236,480. Next, I want to talk about fund balance. In order to address a number of departmental capital needs, including vehicles, a designated amount of $2,308,673 is recommended to be appropriated from unassigned fund balance. In addition, an amount of $4,103,519 from unassigned fund balance is recommended for inclusion in the recommended budget. This undesignated amount is 24.3, or $1,321,000 less than the fiscal year 24 appropriated fund balance amount of $5,424,000. The county does not project to use any of the $5,424,000 that was budgeted in the fiscal year 24 budget ordinance. The projected fiscal year 24 year-end fund balance amount is $69,598,000, and the unassigned portion is $37,911,000. Next, I'm going to talk about expenditures. County department budget presentations were received and carefully reviewed and discussed, including discussions with departments when expenditure adjustments were needed. That's been going on for several months now, right up until today. Expenditures were prioritized based on the budget goals and the county goals adopted by the Board of Commissioners. Overall, departmental requests for the general fund and enterprise funds totaled $160,853,708. Going to talk about positions recommended. Fiscal year 25 budget includes 13 positions funded in the general fund that were appropriately requested and justified by department heads. They're recommended to start at various times throughout the year based on the operational needs that were justified by each department. In addition, there's one position that's requested to be reclassified from part-time to full-time. For the additional positions requested or classified in the general fund, the total requested salary and benefits budget amount is $873,193. The recommended positions are Animal Services Cruelty Investigator, effective August 1 of 24. In the Tax Department, a Personal Property Supervisor, effective August 1 of '24. Human Resources and Risk Management, a Human Resources Technician 1, effective August 1 of '24. Facilities Management, 2 Facilities Management Technicians, 1 effective August 1 and 1 effective January 1 of '25. In the Sheriff's Office, a Digital Forensic Investigator, effective August 1 of '24, and 2 Deputy Sheriff positions, effective January 1st of '25. In the Finance Department, a Financial Operations Analyst, effective August 1 of '24. In Information Technology, a Database Administrator, effective January 1 of '25. In Social Services, an Income Maintenance Caseworker 2, effective September 1st of '24. A Social Worker 1 A&T, effective September 1st of '24. A Social Work Supervisor 2, in-home, effective September 1st of '24. And again, the part-time position that's being reclassified to full-time is in our Veterans Department, Veterans Services, moving from a part-time administrative assistant position to a Veterans Service Technician full-time position. Growth in all kinds of areas in county government. Vehicles recommended in the general fund. Vehicles are needed as part of county operations and for service delivery. The cost of vehicles has risen by a minimum of 20% in the last 24 months, and availability remains a challenge for some types of vehicles that are needed for operations. The capital improvement plan includes an annual amount for vehicles in various categories and departments. As a result of the number of requests and the need for these assets to conduct operations in Franklin County, vehicle requests, again, as I mentioned earlier when I talked about unassigned fund balance, are addressed by using unassigned fund balance for purchasing these assets. Currently, across all general fund departments, there are 330 vehicles in service. A total of 23 vehicles are being recommended for purchase in the fiscal year '25 budget, from a total of 34 vehicles that were requested. And of course, all vehicle purchases shall follow the guidelines in the county's fleet policy as adopted and updated. Sheriff's Office, 10 vehicles for the Patrol Division and Investigations Division as assigned and rotated. A very busy, on-the-road, out-and-about department. EMS Department, recommending an ambulance, trying to make sure we keep a rotation of our ambulances, so recommending again this year an ambulance and 3 SUVs in that department. Cooperative Extension, a truck to replace a high mileage truck that's used for towing trailers and equipment. Facilities Management, 2 F-150 trucks for the new positions that are recommended. In Animal Services, 1 truck for the new position that's recommended. In Planning and Inspections, 2 vehicles dedicated to industrial inspection sites, and those are 2 pickup trucks. In Social Services, 3 vehicles to replace older, high-mileage, aged vehicles, very needed as the social services employees are out and about all times of day and night providing services to our citizens. The total cost for all 23 vehicles that are being recommended, $1,613,384. And again, recommended to be purchased from unassigned fund balance. As the fiscal year progresses, the availability of vehicles will continue to be monitored. If any additional funds are identified, then requests for vehicles may be revisited during the fiscal year. Next, I want to talk about fee schedule changes. Last year, we had a lot of fee schedule changes. We don't have quite as many this year, but all fee schedule changes are published each year with the recommended budget information. If you go to the Finance Department webpage, you can find the complete fee schedule. The ones that are recommended for this year are listed below, unless there's some other effective date, and I do not find other effective dates for this year. The effective dates are effective date for all of these is July 1st of 2024. The airport has a handful of changes to some existing fees and 3 new fees that are being added. Activities at our airport are expanding, more jets coming in, more services being asked for, and so expansion and careful preparation for those kinds of things. There's a handful of changes to the animal services fees. In particular, I'll point out there are changes to the dog adoption fee and the cat adoption fee. Those changes are in consultation with our animal rescue partners and support the spay-neuter efforts and funding that are included in the animal services budget. Efforts are concentrated on making sure that spay and neuter activities, services are provided when animals are adopted from the shelter. Cooperative Extension has one fee that's changing. The library has a credit card fee that's also being added. Register of Deeds has an existing change from amendment to a birth certificate or death certificate going from $10 to $20. And in the Sheriff's Office, gun permits were repealed by the North Carolina General Assembly through legislation, and so that fee, a current fee of $5, is now no more. Next is compensation recommendations. In support of Franklin County employees and to accomplish the goal of recruiting and retaining employees for successful provision of county services, the fiscal year 25 budget recommends the implementation of the classification and compensation study that was conducted in fiscal year 24. This is recommended for all full-time employees in the general fund and enterprise funds. The final recommendations will result in an upward adjustment in the county's pay plan. Some minimum, midpoint, and maximum pay ranges across all pay bands will be recommended ultimately. There are also several job title changes and pay grade updates based on the market analysis. The recommended implementation date is October 14th of 2024, and the total cost is estimated to be $1,419,795. And again, that's for all funds, including the enterprise funds, and includes the cost for fringe benefits. Next, I want to talk about broadband, a really important topic. Franklin County Commissioners continue to support efforts to expand broadband infrastructure within Franklin County. Of course, we're working closely with the North Carolina Broadband Infrastructure Office. We were awarded Phase 2 of the GREAT grant to Brightspeed, bringing fiber to the home for more than 1,400 locations in the county. There was also a GREAT grant project awarded to Charter Spectrum that brings over 200 locations to southern Franklin County. In April of 2024, the Board of Commissioners committed $2 million to the CAB program, Completing Access to Broadband. And that $2 million was ARPA money, American Rescue Plan money, that had a specific designation to be used for this sort of project. And so the CAB program will be an agreement between the North Carolina Broadband Infrastructure Office and whoever that winning broadband provider is. That's a competitive process. Some upcoming grant programs, Stopgap and BEAD, along with the growth that happens naturally as providers expand their networks in our county, should result in universal broadband coverage in Franklin County, hopefully in the not too distant future. We're beginning to fill in the gaps and the holes and the spots where broadband has not previously been available. I want to talk for a minute about animal services. Of course, all county departments are struggling with the influx of residents, but there are a few that are impacted more directly than this newest department to join the office of the county manager. Beginning July 1st, 2022, animal services was transferred from the sheriff's office to the office of the county manager by resolution of the Board of County Commissioners. The post-COVID surge of large volumes of pets being relinquished to animal shelters has affected shelter operations in Franklin County. Since transferring this department to the county manager's office, resources have been focused on addressing needs in the department. The Board of Commissioners has appointed members to the newly reestablished Animal Services Advisory Board. In response to public input, the Board of Commissioners has directed support in the form of additional staffing, expanded adoption hours, compensation adjustments, and additional resources for the department. Plan changes in fiscal year 25 include the establishment of a volunteer program. Efforts are already underway so that as we start fiscal year 25, things will be in place for that program. As I've mentioned already, a focus on resources for spay and neuter programs, changes in adoption fees, additional employee training, more community outreach to promote shelter resources. Again, staff continues to respond to public feedback, working to provide the best service for the public and the animals in the shelter's care. Next, I'm going to talk about educational opportunities. Vance Granville Community College has requested funding of $484,660 for operational expenses and $20,000 for capital for the next fiscal year. The fiscal year 25 recommendation is to fund the requested operational expense amount through a combination of $369,168 in funding plus $115,492 from the existing Vance Granville Franklin County fund balance, and fund the $20,000 in capital to provide the total amount requested. In last year's budget message, I talked about a new building. Vance Granville staff is continuing to review the next phase of growth on the campus as the campus seeks financial support for constructing a new workforce and advanced technical training center building. And Franklin County has committed $3.5 million toward the project as a result of working with the Franklin County Schools back in 2020 to find space for the expanding early college program. Franklin County Schools Early College Program relocated in fiscal year 21 from the mobile classroom building provided by Franklin County into Building 5 on the Franklin campus. And of course, this support and funding has allowed the early college space to grow and expand their program. Public schools. The North Carolina Legislature, through North Carolina General Statutes, prescribes the laws that govern how county governments and local school administrative units budget for public school needs, including traditional public schools and charter schools. We've heard a whole lot about this topic tonight. The Franklin County Board of Education approved a requested fiscal year 25 budget request for $30,541,812 for local expense and $2,610,612 for capital expenditures. The local expense budget approved by the Board of Education includes the required funding for charter schools in an amount of $8,542,509. The local expense request was a 20.5% increase in the local expense category over the approved fiscal year 24 amount of $25,328,192. The recommended fiscal year 25 budget includes funding the Franklin County Schools operating expenses at $26,648,455, representing an increase of 5.2% above the fiscal year 24 local expense amount. Funding for capital outlay is recommended at an amount of $2,610,612 as requested, funded through a combination of county funds, $2,110,612, and the North Carolina Education Lottery Repair and Renovation Fund, $500,000. The total amount recommended for Franklin County Schools funding is $29,259,067. Franklin County Schools presented a Funding Our Future Facilities Needs Report 2023-2033 on September 19, 23, as requested by the Board of Commissioners. The report provided details on school capital needs and projected enrollment. On October 1st of 2024, the Board of Commissioners adopted a resolution establishing a joint capital committee with the Board of Education to address the report. The process will include visits by the Board of Commissioners to Franklin County school facilities this calendar year. The county is committed to ensuring that facilities are appropriately sized and in safe condition for an appropriate learning environment. In the fiscal year 25 budget, annual school debt payments of $5,737,018 are budgeted. I want to make sure everyone understands that is in addition to the local operating expenses and the capital. Another $5 million goes toward the annual debt service. Just over $5 million goes to the annual debt service. And the total outstanding school debt is $30,352,111 as of March of '24. Of course, like any loan, as you make payments each year, the debt payments decline, the principal is paid off, but there are 14 years left to pay off this debt. And of course, school debt comprises 60% of the total Franklin County debt as of March of 2024. The North Carolina legislature continues to address education legislation and is expected to make changes in education funding processes in the current legislative session. Franklin County is following these topics closely to understand the potential impact on future budgets and requests for education funding. Next, I want to talk about opioid funding, the SMART team. Franklin County has moved forward with the use of the National Opioid Settlement Funds that the county will be receiving annually for the next 15 years. Payments of $1,084,889 have been received, and $163,540 has been spent as of May 15, 2024. On March 18, 2024, the Board of Commissioners approved a revised resolution establishing a Substance Use Mental Health Advocacy Response Team, or SMART team, under the direction of the Franklin County Sheriff's Office. For fiscal year '25, the SMART team is recommended to receive funding of $525,283. The team will include a director of programs, licensed clinical social worker, data analyst, and community support investigator liaison, and will include the purchase of 2 vehicles to support the team's objectives. And just for technicality, the National Opioid Settlement Funds are deposited in a special revenue fund and therefore will be part of the annual budget ordinance. And if there are any budget amendments needed, then they'll be presented for approval as the SMART team indicates they're needed. Next, I want to talk about continued focus on Franklin County's health initiatives. We've continued to make progress on our health initiatives. Medicaid expansion implementation that began December 1st of 2023 has added 2,418 new subscribers in Franklin County. The Department of Social Services provides services to over 22,000 residents on an annual basis. In the health department, increased access to medical providers in the areas of maternal, child health, adult health, and child health specialties have been added, including appointments being offered outside of normal business hours. Recently awarded grants are focused on maternal and child health, family planning, and health promotion. Events and citizen education fairs are being offered throughout the county on a regular basis. There is a focus on promoting healthy living through the creation and funding for parks and trails, including support, as I've already mentioned, Epson Park, Franklinton to Novo, Rails to Trails, and other county park improvements. Next, I'm going to talk about fire departments. 6 of the county's fire departments requested a change, actually a reduction in their fire tax rate for fiscal year '25. And they are noted with the green highlights in the chart below. And in the far right is the revenue neutral tax rates by fire department. That's required that each of the revenue neutral tax rates be presented. Mutual aid payments for fire departments are recommended to increase from an annual payment amount of $3,500 to $5,500. And the requested fire tax rate changes are recommended for implementation. We have 2 enterprise funds. I want to talk about those next. Public Utilities Enterprise Fund. Franklin County Public Utilities continues to expand due to residential and commercial growth in Franklin County. Currently, there are 9,839 customers that are being served. That reflects a 4.11% increase from the fiscal year 23 year-end number of 9,442 customers served. The recommended Fiscal year 25 public utilities budget totals $23,618,000. It addresses infrastructure expansion and recommended rate changes to address growth with the following. Water and sewer rates are recommended to increase as follows. I won't read every single number on this chart. This will be published, obviously, in the budget information that will be available online. But as an example, water rates are currently $42.15 as the base rate that includes 2,000 gallons. And the proposed new rate effective September of 2024 is $47. Sewer, the base rate, including the 2,000 gallons, is $49.17, and the new proposed rate is $54.82. And again, these changes are recommended to be effective September of 2024. Information to customers and billing notices will be distributed about this rate change. Infrastructure investments and the implementation of the 2019 water supply study recommendations support these rate changes. On November 16th of 2020, the final report in the water supply study was delivered to the board and included rate recommendations to support the investments needed for a long-term water solution for Franklin County. As recently presented to the Board of Commissioners, short-term water supply has increased by 23% since 2020, and in 2022, the annual allocation amount increased from 50,000 GPD gallons per day to 75,000 gallons per day. There's a list of additional services and fee changes. I'll just comment about those. Again, these are arranged by the size of the meter, 3/4 inch, 1 inch, 2 inch, 4 inch, 6 inch. The implementation of the automated water meter reading process has also brought on the possibility that the meters could be damaged, and so that's what this fee schedule is about. If there's damage to a water meter, it's $40 plus the cost of the meter, and so that is identified here. And of course, there's a meter transmitter damage fee and damage to the sewer service. And then meter set fees, there are 3 items at the bottom. For meter set fees, cost of those items have increased, and so that service has increased as well with some new proposed fee changes. No new positions are recommended in the Public Utilities Enterprise Fund for fiscal year 25. Instead, we'll be reviewing current positions, focusing on recruitment. There are a handful of specialized positions in that department that it's been very difficult to recruit for. And so we're going to look at the alignment that other public utilities departments have, what kind of growth challenges they're faced with, and figure out what to do. We are not requesting any new positions for that department. We are requesting some vehicles and equipment. They are recommended for funding in fiscal year 25. They're needed to perform the daily work functions and support the capital projects. The total amount is $489,000. There's a CCTV truck for the sewer division. There are replacements for a vehicle labeled Water Sewer 2 replacement. That's a 2003 F-150, replacing that vehicle with an SUV. Need a utility vehicle for the water treatment plant. There are some places around the basins that are hard to get to with a truck, and so a utility vehicle is more suitable for that. Vehicle WS9, replacing a 2015 F-150, and water sewer vehicle number 16, replacing a 2017 Nissan truck are recommended. Public utilities capital projects. Again, as I recently commented at an economic development meeting, and as the board heard as an update from the Public Utilities Department, there are a number of capital projects going on in public utilities. As we are preparing for growth and dealing with making sure that the facilities and the infrastructure are in adequate and appropriate condition. The first 3 items listed on here are, again, large dollar items: new elevated water tank funded with ARPA funding, public utilities wastewater treatment, plant maintenance shop, funded with ARPA funding, and Novo blending station rehabilitation, funded with ARPA funding. Again, the total of the first three is the $8.75 million in ARPA funds that was awarded to Franklin County by the legislature back in fiscal year 22. The rest of the items, I won't read all of them individually, but they are an accumulation of a number of projects that need to be worked on in the department throughout the service territory. Again, recommending $14,115,000 projects in capital for public utilities. I want to talk about the Solid Waste Enterprise Fund, the second enterprise fund that the county has. It's appropriately designated as an enterprise fund. The total recommended budget is $5,759,118. Maintains the solid waste convenience fee at its current rate of $110. There's one new position being recommended in this department. It's recommended based on the external audit recommendation to address departmental billing issues. Recommended to begin July 1st of 24 with an annual cost of $56,708. There are some convenience site improvements totaling $50,000 and refurbishment costs for the Administrative Assistant's Office of $10,000 are being recommended. And then there's some needed equipment. Again, constant need to make sure we stay ahead of that and swap out various pieces of equipment in this department. 3 compactors and 10 open-top containers for a total of $150,000. And of course, the budget contains items for the continued testing and maintenance of the county's closed landfill. Capital improvement plans. Capital improvement plans for the general fund, public utilities, and solid waste are included with the recommended budget, and the board is requested to adopt the capital improvement plans as planning documents for the county. They've been developed with input from the county's financial advisors and include the recommended funding sources for each project. Projects on the CIP that are recommended for funding in fiscal year 25 at this time are included in the fiscal year 25 recommended operating budget. Of course, the CIPs, capital improvement plans, reflect compliance with the county's debt funding policy to address the identified capital needs of our growing county. Again, it's a planning document for fiscal year 26, 27, 28, and 29. The projects are modeled for discussion and development as we move forward. There are 2 policy updates I want to talk about. The annual budget ordinance defines the policies and documents that the county manager is allowed to execute, and the 2 policy updates requested this year. One is the board is requested to increase the multi-year total contract amount that is currently set at $30,000. It's been a few years since this has been visited, to a new revised level of $100,000 that more appropriately reflects the value of multi-year contracts encountered and allows the approval of appropriate contractual matters. The second policy revision reads as follows: donations for county. The manager may receive and solicit donations of real and personal property, as well as monetary donations in support of programs and activities performed by county departments, which includes but is not limited to Parks and Recreation, Library, Animal Services, Aging Services, Veteran Services, Sheriff's Office, Department of Social Services, and Health Department. The manager may delegate this authority to departments and staff as necessary. The Board of Commissioners must review and approve all donations in which the donor specifies a specific purpose for the donated property and may choose to decline such donation. Adding this language provides compliance with North Carolina general statutes and gives direction for donations that are made to the county. I have several items I'd like to highlight. Again, I've commented about this. Investment interest in Franklin County remains strong. Approximately 29 new businesses have chosen to locate in Franklin County over the previous 9 months. That means not just within the county, but that incorporates the businesses that are have located within our towns, because towns are in the county too. So 29 new businesses in the last 9 months. Interest, is, as I've mentioned, is growing in our business parks as we add product. Product in a business park is new square footage, and so that makes it easier for businesses to readily locate. A focus on working with our industries and our education partners will address the workforce needs that our growing county will demand as new businesses continue to choose Franklin County for their home. Helping citizens to understand more about government is essential. A commitment to creating a Citizens Academy program will bring the opportunity to engage citizens and share information about the complex processes and statutes that guide and impact county government. Also, opportunities to celebrate our national and local history are being explored. America will celebrate its 250th anniversary on July 4th of 2026. There are plans and ideas already being developed or have been developed at the national and state level. Local citizen interest in participating in this has already been expressed, and the county will be exploring ideas and next steps. All right, next steps for the budget process. Public hearing for the budget will be noticed for Monday, June 3rd during the regularly scheduled Board of Commissioners meeting. The public portal for budget comments is currently available on the Finance Department tab of the Franklin County website. Any comments received through the portal will be shared by the clerk to the board with the board prior to the June 3rd public hearing. The recommended budget and manager's budget message and presentation are going to be available on the Franklin County website as soon as we can get them loaded, hopefully by first thing in the morning. That will be located under the Finance Department tab, as well as you can contact the clerk to the board and request copies or information. And of course, the recommended budget may be considered for adoption at the conclusion of the public hearing on June 3rd, at any special call board meeting for that purpose, or at the June 17th scheduled board meeting. In conclusion, I want to say, the focus on preparation for the population growth that Franklin County is experiencing will need to continue. To maintain our bright future and be prepared for economic opportunities, service expansion, and capital projects will continue to be topics for careful consideration. Franklin County's employees are our greatest asset, and I appreciate the teamwork and commitment that employees exhibit every day. I continue to be honored to serve as your county manager. I appreciate the board's direction and devotion to our county's success. I again welcome any further discussion, any review of this information and this recommended budget, any questions, any requests for additional information. I want to achieve the mutual goal of adopting a successful fiscal year 25 budget. So thank you to the Board of Commissioners, and I will stop talking.
Thank you, Ms. Dutton.